Venezuelans are set to go to the polls to elect a successor to Hugo Chavez. Campaigning has been marked by the omnipresence of the Bolivarian leader, who died just over a month ago. The favorites are the Chavist heir and acting incumbent, Nicolas Maduro, and Henrique Capriles, the candidate of a united opposition. In this News Plus, we'll talk to a specialist in Latin America, but first, here's this report. The presidential election this Sunday in Venezuela is expected to give the country either a leader who tries to fill the shoes of the late Hugo Chavez or a leader with new shoes. Nicolas Maduro was Chavez's right-hand man, and he hopes to carry on like his powerful friend. Henrique Capriles, the opposition united behind him, would like to draw a line under the Chavez version of socialism. Maduro did Chavez's bidding. Capriles has experience governing, but Maduro is comfortably ahead in the opinion polls. Chavez built a foundation of adoring voters. Maduro is following in his footsteps, but with no guarantee he can keep up the pace, either political or theatrical. This analyst says he has feet of clay. He doesn't have the Chavez charisma. He doesn't lead like Chavez. But don't rule him out. He has the whole state apparatus, the entire government structure, and all the Socialist Party behind him. Though 45% did not vote Chavez last October, Henrique Capriles knows well enough not to knock the legend. But in his campaign, he has trod on Maduro's toes, calling him by his first name, to hammer home it's not Hugo.
Esta campaña es Nicolás y yo.
He says the campaign's Nicolas and me. Leave President Chavez out of it. There's a stack of challenges waiting for either Nicolas or Henrique. The economy is slack. The price of Venezuela's #1 earner, oil, is stuck around $100 a barrel. Inflation went over 20% last year, a national record. And the murder rate is a frightening 8 times the world average. Chavez never got a grip on that record breaker in all his 14 years in office. Chavez did narrow income disparity and made better nutrition a national goal, though critics of his price ceilings for basic foods hope not to see more state intervention like that. Whoever takes the reins after this Sunday's election, both candidates have said they would leave in place the social programs the late larger-than-life leader introduced. Senior researcher at Madrid's FRIDE International Relations Foundation, Suzanne Gratias, joins us now. Hello.
Buenas tardes.
Is Maduro going to win this presidential election as all the voter surveys say, or will Venezuela give us a surprise?
There won't be a surprise because, as you say, all the polls show the vote going to Nicolas Maduro. It's possible he'll get a lower percentage than President Chavez did last October, when he won with 55% of the votes.
Can Chavismo continue without his physical presence?
I believe that we are seeing that it can go on and will go on even if the country is divided into 2 or even 3 blocks, because a lot of Venezuelans do not support Chavismo's projects or support the opposition, and that is where the struggle to win votes will concentrate. I believe Chavismo has momentum without Chavez because he's become a religious figure, and he named Nicolas Maduro as his presidential successor before leaving for Cuba. The absolute leader of the Chavez movement gave him legitimacy.
What
are the main challenges for the next president?
The main problem identified by the Venezuelans is their lack of safety, the high level of violence, which is even higher than in Mexico and some countries in Central America. I think there have to be a more effective public security policy than we see now. The other problem is the economy. Inflation rates are high. There are shortages of some consumer products. And in some ways, Venezuela has imported the Cuban economic model, in the sense that some products are heavily subsidized, and the state has a strong hand in running the economy.
What's going to happen with Cuba?
If bureaucracy and officialdom win, then I think this alliance will be maintained, even if Maduro has already said he is going to end the presence of Cuban military advisors now in Venezuela. But economic exchanges should continue. We don't know what will happen if the opposition wins. I think they would reduce commercial exchanges.
Yo creo que habría una disminución de los flujos comerciales y del intercambio.
Y para finalizar brevemente.
To conclude, how do you think relations will be with the European Union after the 14th of April?
Con la Unión Europea.
Relations between Venezuela and the EU fluctuate, but Venezuela is not a very important country for the EU. Nevertheless, it is a part of the Latin American community of nations, and in this sense there are close ties between Spain and Venezuela, obviously because of resources, oil, and also because Spanish companies are present in Venezuela. There are economic interests, and even though there have been some tensions in the past with Hugo Chavez, relations flow quite well. From the EU's side, there hasn't been any criticism of the drift towards authoritarianism during Hugo Chavez's time. The relationship is different than it is between Venezuela and the United States.
Contra las tendencias del autoritarismo durante la época de Hugo Chávez, es una relación distinta a la que tiene Venezuela con Estados Unidos.
Muchísimas gracias por habernos acompañado con sus precisiones, señora Gratius. Gracias.
Gracias a vosotros.